Hello YouTube, welcome to my channel, Anna Bella, and today I'm going to be reviewing Birds of Prey and the Fantabulous Emancipation of one Harley Quinn. First thing first, I've got 3 points. 1, this movie is about female empowerment. How do I know this? A bad guy goes to look in Harley Quinn's pocket for her business card. The first thing he pulls out is a tampon. Do you know how rare that is in movies? To actually mention the fact that A, women have periods, 2, to actually show a tampon, or even 3, talk about the menstrual cycle in any way. The fact that they showed a tampon is huge. Huge. You never see them, even on television, in soap operas. It's just not done. You know, Doctor Who changed to a woman. We haven't even seen a tampon or a towel. I know that sounds kind of bizarre, but this is the only movie where it's actually been mentioned that women have periods, even if it is just by a tampon. The only person who I can actually remember on television getting hold of a tampon was actually in The Young Ones, and that was Rick Mayall, who was playing Rick, who went inside a woman's handbag, which is something that guys aren't supposed to do, pulls out a tampon and pretends it's a mouse, and actually ends up putting it in somebody's tea, and it obviously expands. Oh, the embarrassment. That's the only time in the whole of my TV knowledge that I've seen tampon was in The Young Ones with Rick Mayall. Now we have this in Birds of Prey and the Fantabulous Emancipation of Harley Quinn. We have a tampon with reference to an actual woman. Never mind if the movie is good or bad, but that is a huge milestone. Anyway, number 2. They actually had the Days of Our Lives clip that featured Arlene Sorkin, who is the original voice of Harley Quinn and inspiration for Harley Quinn. The actual sequence, and it's a dream sequence where she's dressed as a jester going like this. It was amazing. I was like, cameo, cameo. That was a brilliant reference. 3, they actually had Bernie the Beaver, though they just call him the Beaver for reasons I don't understand, and Bruce the Hyena. He was a huge highlight for me. Anyway, it was so traumatic, what happened to Bruce, but it's okay, it's okay. That may or may not be a spoiler. Anyway, the film itself, well, it's never going to be in a logical order, because Harley Quinn doesn't, her sanity is only so-so, and she's mentally ill, let's face it. I thought it was really good. Each character got a good introduction. They weren't all done at the same time. I love the fact that we got that beautiful cartoon at the start that explained everything, and the fact that you still felt Mr. J's influence throughout the whole film. That was really good. I do have this, and I'm going to say this now, is I'm actually quite glad that Jared Leto's Joker wasn't in this, because it would have just been another Suicide Squad for him. He would have done all that work, and then his scenes would have been chopped, messed about with, because unfortunately it's quite sad for both Margot Robbie, who's playing Harley Quinn, and Jared Leto's Joker, that they never did a mad love film that was just about them, how Joker met Harley Quinn and their adventures before their relationship got really, really abusive and manipulative and violent. Before that really bit in, and that was a shame. That is an opportunity that Warner Brothers and DC Comics have completely lost, and that's a shame. They should have had a movie that was just Joker meets Harley Quinn and off we go with that story. They should have done that first. Then they should have done David Ayer's Suicide Squad, because then you would have had Joker rescuing her, and then they should have made this movie. That would have been the best way to do it, and actually done justice to not only the Joker's character, but also Harley Quinn's character. Because one of the things that is happening in DC's Black Label, which is where the Elseworlds stories are, you've got Harleen, which is an awesome comic. You've got White Knight comic, which is a brilliant, brilliant series where it actually turns out that Harley Quinn is saving both the Joker and Batman from themselves. Brilliant, brilliant story. Sorry for the spoilers. And Harley and the Joker. It's brilliant what's happening in the Black Label, to be absolutely honest, with those two characters in the story and how it's being retold, reimagined. There's so much that you can do with it. And it's such a shame that the live action films haven't taken that opportunity to do so. But we've got to be grateful for what we have. Overall, I felt that the other Birds of Prey characters were very much supporting characters, but they were all given backstories and all given stories. I felt that Black Mask, isn't it great that we're actually seeing some of the lesser Batman villains I hate to use the word lesser, because Black Mass is an awesome villain, absolutely awesome. It was terrifying, some of the stuff that Ewan McGregor was doing, absolutely terrifying. Really, really, really good stuff. And another thing that I noticed, this is my fourth point, was actually all the art that featured women was either highly sexualized or torturous. And that's a reflection of how art has depicted women in the past, or either really saintly or either being sexualized as a sexual object. You know, I bet nobody asked Paul Cézanne whether those fat women wanted to be painted nude. Anyway, moving on for how women are depicted in art, but that's a good point. And I feel that the film itself didn't shy away from the fact that life for women is hard, that they are judged. Huntress was really well done with her childhood trauma. Cassandra Cain, she was brilliantly done. It was just really, really good. And the police detective, she was epically done. I mean, she was just summing up 1980s police culture. The women were in the police, but their views and opinions were just walked over. They weren't respected at all. And I'm loving Black Canary. I love what they did with her. Yes, she had a superpower, but yes, women do self-limit themselves, but you had little moments where she used it. It wasn't like, oh, I'm Superman, I'm going to just use my powers all the time. No, it was purposeful, connected to the plot, helped the story go along. And that is great character development. Loving the stunt sequences, really, really good. Loved it. The action was good and well timed and well thought out. They'd actually given the script a hell of a lot of thought. And for Harley Quinn, you absolutely have to do that. I love the fact that you had so many Mr. J references without him actually being there. That was really useful, because that just shows you the power of the Joker and the power of Batman, because these are two characters that can shape this world. And actually, it also implies that Harley Quinn can shape this world as well. And I suspect that when they finally get around to doing the Gotham City Sirens, which is a film I would really love to see, we will see the earth shake. Obviously, literally, because we've got Poison Ivy and her plant powers, but also with Catwoman and Harley Quinn meeting, because I feel that that is something that needs to happen now, because then we can truly take on the male dominatedness of Gotham. But another thing, and another point that Birds of Prey actually allowed, it actually allowed us to show the vice and the crime that's within Gotham, because sometimes the Batman, in fact a lot of the times the Batman movies just gloss it over. They don't show how bad, how viceful, the drugs, the alcohol, the corruption, the sex trafficking, whereas this film you actually felt the drugs, the clubs, the bars, the dodginess of it all, the mafia don families. You really felt that Gotham is a city that was built on crime. And I actually really enjoyed that, because it actually gave Gotham, the city itself, an urban structure, kind of gritty, but also sleek. It really, really did show that. And that was something that I think that people have sanitized him before, because they thought, oh, we'll just have Batman and he can fight the Penguin and it will all be over and done. And the Penguin won't really be, you know, have a club, you know, and run the iceberg. He will be a governor or the mayor or something. And that didn't really reflect, yes, it did reflect like the corruptness of Gotham, but it didn't really reflect Gotham as a place, that it is a place of bars and clubs. And these bars and clubs have a lot of dodgy deals, as we've seen in Suicide Squad. It did actually feel like a sequel to that, and it should have done. It was really well done. Joker actually got quite a lot of references, even if they did refer to him as an asshole, but it was really well done. Ewan McGregor's performance as Black Mask, oh, creepy. Creepy, creepy, creepy. But actually, Black Canary was so well done. She was so subtle. She was there, but she was not there. And this is a trick that women do. We're there, but we pull away. We protect ourselves. We have that quiet dignity where we say, we're only going to let you have this much, but we're not going to give you everything. And I feel that you feel that with Black Canary, how she's done that. And it's the same, how she's protected her superpower, which is her voice. She's like, I'm going to sing for you, but I'm not going to be an assassin or anything like that for you. And that was interesting. Oh, wasn't that other guy really creepy? The one was with all the scars and oh. There was some of this. I'm so pleased that this film was an R-rated stuff. The original 2016 Suicide Squad in the UK was a 15, not a PG 13 like it was in America. It was actually a 15. And the reason for it was, one, it was dealing with the mentally ill. 2, they were putting bombs, the government was putting bombs in people's necks. And 3, they were using everyday objects as weapons, like bats. And it was considered too dark to be a 12A. So in the UK, Suicide Squad was a 15. I'm so pleased that Birds of Prey and the Fantabulous Emancipation of one Harley Quinn got an R-rated, because you felt justified. It wasn't sanitized, whereas we in the UK can put Suicide Squad on both the extended cut and the theatrical release cut, and it's a 15, and there's, you know, no blood. Whereas we can now watch Birds of Prey, this film, and it is a proper R-rated film. In the UK, it's a 15, and it does justice to the world that is Gotham, which goes right back to the first ever Batman movie, which quite correctly was a 15, and they should have stayed with that. They shouldn't have dumbed it down. They did a great disservice doing that. Though having said that, we probably wouldn't have got Batman animated TV show. And you're thinking, where is this review going? What is she blobbing on about? The Batman animated TV show was absolutely brilliant for many reasons. 1, for the creation of Harley Quinn, and 2, for updating the old Punch and Judy show. In the UK, Punch and Judy, which was a show that was invented in the Victorian era and Edwardians, and it's been muddled and fuddled since medieval times, most likely, but it really became part of British culture when you went to the seaside, and also in market towns they would have a Punch and Judy show. Why on earth would they do this? But it's actually teaching children about the dangers of domestic violence, and crocodiles may or may not steal sausages, and how policemen are basically inept. And that's the basic thing of it, and how babies are not safe, because they weren't, because we didn't have vaccinations. Anyway, you could do that with puppets. And then Batman, the animated series, was really clever about updating it, because they made the man and the woman wear clown suits. So if clowns are hitting each other, it doesn't matter if they're a woman or a bloke, but because they're dressed as clowns, it makes it acceptable, because clowns are supposed to be funny, even though it's domestic violence. Now, you wouldn't get away with it, but you would get away with it in Britain, weirdly enough, because we've got this big thing about clowns and the whole Punch and Judy cultural thing. So that's interesting in itself, but shelve that for now. Back to the film. We've got to focus on this film review. I thought the performances were strong. They really were. Ewan McGregor's was very good, and his BFF was just creepy, and really creepy. I love the fact that it didn't shy away from the dangers that women face. Like, if they get drunk, they may or may not end up in a situation that could be a rape. Like, that was so freaky when Harley ended up in that situation, because that's what happens to women. Guys latch onto them, they ply them with drinks, and then they end up in a situation that they've not consented to, because they're too bleh. And people say, oh, she drank too much. And I'm like, the reason she drank too much was the guy was encouraging her to do so. And women are nice and like to please. Hence why Ted Bundy had loads of victims, because they all wanted to help him. Yeah, moving swiftly on from that comment, but I thought it was really good. It didn't shy away from the violence in women's lives or the continual put downs of men. And it doesn't matter whether the man, whatever ethnicity men are, or how nice men have been. I mean, the Chinese guy, Doc, he ended up betraying them because he got money. It just shows you how people are trapped. Money traps people. It was really good. Yes, there were some moral dilemmas all the way through. Of course there are. This is Gotham City. We're not in Metropolis where it's all clean and nice and people will help you, for want of better terms. We're in Gotham, and Gotham is known... Oh, sorry about that. What is going on? What am I doing? I don't know. Got no brain. Anyway, it was really good. I enjoyed it. If I'm going to be uber critical, I'll say that it perhaps pacing was a little slow in some parts, but actually you needed those breathers in between the action. There was some really good action scenes. I particularly like the street action scenes. It reminded me very much of Joker, where you had Joker running through Gotham, avoiding people, while Harley Quinn had a very similar scene to that. where everybody suddenly realised that her and Mr. J had finally, you know, broke up. I thought it was really interesting, the fact that everybody knew what happened at Ace of Chemicals. How weird and how slightly odd. I mean, they didn't even have to put it on Facebook. People just knew. It is really a bit creepy. And they just knew that by her driving that acid truck that didn't contain the Joker, by the way, in it, that they'd broken up because she chucked that J necklace away. How odd. Oh, creepy, creepy. But it just shows you how good old-fashioned rumour mill works, particularly in Gotham. I like that. Old school communication, that was. Old school. Really creepy. But I also like the way that it dealt with the breakup. The fact you had, like, the stages of her grief for it. Like the whole bit in the onesie with the cheese and the ice cream. And then you had her at the other club. And the reason she was going to that is she, with the Joker, she always went and danced at his club when they were together. So it was continuing that behaviour. And it was interesting that Romy allowed it. And he was like, oh, where's your paramour? Because he wanted the status of the Joker and Harley Quinn to come and visit. And that's interesting within itself. It was a really good movie. There were so many Easter eggs and things inside. I loved the Cassandra Cain character. I thought she was so well done with that cast and stuffing stuff down it. It was awesome. And how they all became very protective of her. But yes, that is a female trope. We'll always protect the child. But actually, she was another female. And it was really empowering to see other women protect another woman, because women do have this thing that when we get in groups, we can be a little bit catty towards each other, but it was so nice to see a group of women that were actually united in one cause and not bitching with each other. It was such a positive portrayal, even though they've got like different motives, and even if the ending was sort of like the birds of prey forming up and Harley Quinn going off, possibly with Cassandra Cain as an apprentice or not. You can never be 100% sure, because Harley Quinn, like the Joker, is not a reliable narrator. For all we know, the birds of prey could have formed. Harley Quinn could have got her share of the diamond and ended up in Belle Reve again. Just saying. Just saying. And Cassandra Cain could have ended up back with the horrible foster parents who are clearly having domestic issues. I really enjoyed the film. I thought it was good. The action sequences were well done. Yes, you could tell that they were action sequences at some points, and they were a little bit stylized, but they were different. They were original. We rarely see women kicking butt on TV or even in film these days. We don't have Charmed anymore, and Buffy's no longer on television. Bring back Buffy, I say. Anyway, this year is a particularly good year for female empowerment. We've got Wonder Woman coming, and Wonder Woman 1984 coming. That should be good. And we've also got Black Widow from Marvel. So DC's got this film. I like the fact that it's coming out in February, that it's a film about women and it features a tampon. Look out for the tampon, and look out for Arlene Sorkin's cameo from Days of Our Lives with her jester suit on. I just smiled when I saw that. I was like, yes, this is the way. But yeah, I'm a DC nut, so sue me. I enjoyed it. Out of 5, I would have to give it 4.9. Good effort. Really, really good effort. I would have loved to have given it 5, but pacing, yeah. But it was nice that it was bitty and you had to follow one storyline and then go back and loop. I did enjoy that, and I really liked the cartoon at the beginning. I love the fact that Harley Quinn, grew up in a convent. I absolutely adored that. And you also had the bit about her dad who was trying to give her away, and she kept coming back, because that had echoes of her relationship with the Joker, and you can then understand why Joker was trying to give her away, but she kept coming back. I really enjoyed that. I thought it did her character a lot of justice, and it really did make her far more understandable and relatable. And this is the problem that we have between Wonder Woman and Harley Quinn. A lot of women can relate to Harley Quinn's experience because it's more natural, more grounded in reality, because a lot of women have been there. Whereas Wonder Woman, she puts a lot of pressure on women. Not that Diana means to. It's just that she's perfect. She's perfectly strong. She knows what she's doing. She fights for truth and justice. And I guess it must be the same for Superman and guys, I presume. Because they're so perfect, they make ordinary people feel inadequate. And women, there's a double thing about that. Harley Quinn is the woman that you'd actually like to take to the bar and have a drink and a good, real, grounded conversation with, because you'd learn stuff. Wonder Woman, you just sort of want to run away from, because it's like, who do you think you are? Wonder Woman, you can't do this. How dare you? You know, it adds pressure on women. It makes them feel that we can do it all. We can be the Uber wife, cleaning everything, raising children, and having a fantabulous career and everything. It puts a lot of pressure. Whereas Harley Quinn actually allows you to be real and understand your flaws. And say, yes, women make mistakes, but we can correct them. And that's far healthier. I'm just putting that out there. I really am. I am going to have huge words when we get to good old Natasha's Black Widow film, because I'm really looking forward to that. Yay! And I'm also looking forward to Wonder Woman. Even though I'm just mentioning that, I do adore Diana. I think she does do some excellent things. It's just unfortunate the way that she's been presented, particularly in the 1970s in the comics. Just why did they take her powers away? I just can't understand it. Anyway, moving swiftly on, this is why Aquaman's also really popular in the DC film universe. People want to see DC characters that haven't had the opportunity to be on film. Superman we're fed up with, Batman we're fed up with, and we don't, and the audiences didn't really understand why they fight, because they thought they were both fighting on the same side. They didn't realise how alien Superman is, and they didn't realise how dark Batman is and twisted with his childhood trauma. They really don't get that. Hopefully, when we do get James Gunn's Suicide Squad, we will be able to move on with everything, hopefully. Looking forward to Morbius later in the year as well. That should be good, because Jared Leto is again attempting to bring back the vampire to save us from vampires. Well, not save us from vampires, but actually bring them back, because they've had a little Twilight trouble. But that still is a valid portrayal of a vampire. Sorry, Anne Rice set the precedent for sparkly vampires, because in her books, vampires appeared like alabaster marble. Just putting that out there. Okay, just saying, that is canon in Anne Rice's books with Louis and Lestat. That's the reason why you get the sparkly, twilighty vampires. It has vampire precedent. Anyway, I'm looking forward to the vampire being brought back on the big screen. He's been away for far too long. Far too long. Anyway, enough babbling about stuff to come. Birds of Prey, do check it out. I love the fact that we've got, during the month of February, during when we should be thinking about Valentine's Day, which is totally commercialised and pointless. Obviously, if you're in a relationship, make sure you send a card. I think that's kind of important, and possibly a flower. Anything more than that, and it's ridiculous. Maybe a cuddly bear, one of those small ones. That should do it. But any more than that, and that's just ridiculous. It's overkill, really. But I love the fact that during this month, with Valentine's Day coming up, we have a film that's about women coming together and empowering themselves and basically getting some emancipation. It's all good. I'm loving the fact that we had the stages of grief for Harley and Joker's relationship, because they deserve that. Because I felt that we, as an audience, had been cheated of actually seeing Joker and Harley Quinn have a film to themselves. Because that's what we should have had before we had David Ayer's Suicide Squad. But that's nothing that Margot Robbie or Jared Leto could have helped. It was down to DC and Warner Brothers' terrible planning, because they didn't think it through. Like they didn't think through Superman versus Batman either. But that's enough of that. We've got positive things to look forward to. This year is going to be good. Birds of Prey, see the movie. I enjoyed it and found it absolutely wonderful. Some really good things. Bernie, Bruce. It was funny, really funny. It was funny, action-packed, and irreverent in some aspects, but it was fun. It wasn't overtly gratuitous. It was creepy, though. It did have a creepiness that I thought was appropriate, and a menace that I thought was appropriate. It doesn't mean It wasn't about sort of like, oh, we're going to beat men. It wasn't about women beating men and this, that, or the other. It was about females empowering themselves and taking back control over their lives and not letting men control them and put them down. It wasn't beating men for the sake of beating men, to be absolutely honest. It was about saying, no, this is me. I'm going to make some choices that are going to empower me and be the best person I can be. And that, my friends, is a good message. Anyway, please like, comment and subscribe. Don't forget to check out the little notification bell wherever it is. Pinch, 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 pinch. Don't know why I'm doing that, but hey ho. I enjoyed the movie. Check it out. It is well worth a look. Bye!